Listen carefully. This is not just another video. This is not entertainment. This is a mirror. A mirror showing you exactly where you are in life right now. You feel tired. You feel behind. You work hard every day, but nothing really changes. You look at money. You look at success. And deep inside, one feeling keeps coming back. Fear. Fear that this is your life forever. Fear that other people are moving forward while you are standing still. And slowly, something dangerous happens. You start to accept it. You start to believe this is normal. You start to believe this is who you are. But listen to me. That belief is a lie. Today, you will hear a story, not a fake story, not a short motivational quote, a real story. The untold story of the first billionaire in human history. He was not lucky. He was not born rich. He was not protected. He lived in a brutal world, a world full of fear, chaos, and survival. And in that world, he learned one truth that changed everything. This story will change how you see money. It will change how you see power. And more importantly, it will change how you see yourself. And while you listen, your English will improve, naturally, slowly, without stress. But only if you do one thing. Do not skip. Do not jump ahead. Stay with me until the very end, because this story is not really about him. It is about you. Before modern money, before banks, before companies, the world was simple, and the world was cruel. There were no salaries, no monthly income, no safety net. People did not earn money, they traded to survive. Food, animals, metal. If you had something to trade, you lived. If you had nothing, you depended on others. And dependence is weakness. Think about this carefully. If you could not trade, you could not eat. If you could not eat, you could not live. This was daily life for most people. They lived one day at a time. They woke up with fear. They went to sleep with fear. There were no savings, no long-term plans, no vision for the future, only survival. This is very important because when you live like this, your thinking changes. You do not think long-term. You do not think clearly. You think short. You think fast. You think emotionally. Fear becomes your guide. This is how chaos controls people. In chaos, the strong did not win because they were kind. They won because they had control. Control over land, control over tools, control over people, and everyone else followed. This is the first truth you must understand. Wealth does not start with money. Wealth starts with control. Control over time, control over resources, control over decisions. Most people had none of this. They worked hard, they suffered, they obeyed, but they did not decide. And when you do not decide, someone else decides for you. This is how inequality was born, not from money, from power. Almost no one had power, and that is why the first billionaire was not just rich, he was different. He did not simply survive chaos, he understood it. He did not run from fear, he learned how fear moved people. While most people reacted, he observed. While most people obeyed, he positioned himself. This is where the story truly begins, not with money, not with luck, but with understanding. And understanding changes everything. Most people in Rome were busy surviving. They worked, they fought, they followed orders. They believed life was hard by nature. They believed suffering was normal. They believed nothing could really change. But one man did not think like this. His name was Marcus Licinius Crassus. He was not born powerful. He was not born respected. He was not protected by the system. His family once had wealth. Then everything collapsed. The government turned against them. Their land was taken. Their name became dangerous to carry. Crassus learned fear very early in life. He learned what it feels like to wake up every morning knowing you could lose everything tomorrow. Many people break after this moment. They become angry. They become bitter. They blame the world. Crassus did not. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" he asked a different question. How does this system really work? While others looked at money, he looked at patterns. He watched who gained power. He watched who lost it. He watched what happened before people rose and before they fell. And he noticed something important. When chaos arrived, most people panicked. They rushed. They sold too quickly. They accepted bad deals. They made emotional decisions. Fear controlled their choices. Crassus stayed calm. He did not rush. He did not complain. He did not react. He waited. And while he waited, he observed. He studied. He learned. He learned that the system does not reward effort. It rewards understanding. It rewards those who understand fear. This is where the real difference begins. The 99% see events. The 1% see systems. The 99% react to problems. The 1% position themselves before problems arrive. Crassus understood this long before anyone else. He did not chase money. He did not run after opportunity. He studied human behavior. He understood one dangerous truth. When people are afraid, they trade control for comfort. And whoever offers comfort gains control. This single insight changed everything, not only for Crassus, but for history itself. Rome was a powerful city. It had armies, it had wealth, it had influence. But Rome had one silent enemy: fire. Fire was everywhere. Houses were built from wood. Streets were narrow and crowded. One small flame could spread fast. One mistake could destroy everything. People lived with this fear every day. They knew that one fire could erase their home, their work, their future. There was no insurance, no protection, no second chance. Most people responded the same way. They prayed, they hoped, they waited for luck. Crassus did something different. He prepared. He did not fight fires himself. He did not depend on hope. He built a system. He created a private fire brigade, hundreds of trained men, organized, ready, always nearby. But here's the truth. They did not rush to save homes. They waited. When a house was burning, when smoke filled the street, when panic spread, Crassus arrived. Not with water, not with help, with an offer. He spoke slowly. He spoke calmly. "Sell me this house right now for a very low price." Most people said no at first. They believed the fire would stop. They hoped neighbors would help. They trusted luck. But fire does not wait. As the flames grew, fear grew faster. Children cried, families screamed, neighbors panicked, and fear changes how people think. Fear removes patience. Fear removes logic. Fear removes power. Soon, the owner said yes. Crassus bought the house cheaply. Then his men moved. They put out the fire. They protected the land. They saved what was left. Then Crassus rebuilt, again and again and again. This was not luck. This was timing. The 99% wait for problems to appear. The 1% prepare before problems exist. The 99% negotiate when they are weak. The 1% negotiate when others are afraid. This truth is uncomfortable, but it is real. Crassus did not steal. He did not force anyone. He offered a choice, a bad choice, or a worse one. And when people choose under fear, they always lose control. This was the trick that changed everything. He did not chase burning houses. He understood something deeper. Fear brings opportunity to those who are prepared. So he waited, and fear came to him. Most people believe one simple idea. If I work harder, I will win. So they wake up early, they work long hours, they stay busy from morning to night, and still nothing really changes. This is painful. This is confusing, because effort feels honest. Effort feels fair. Effort feels like it should be rewarded. But the world does not reward effort. It rewards timing. Crassus did not work harder than anyone else. He worked earlier. He prepared before the crisis arrived. He positioned himself before fear appeared. When the fire started, it was already too late for the owner. At that moment, the owner had no power, only fear. This pattern still exists today. Most people act only when the problem appears. Debt appears, stress appears, fear appears. Then they rush. They sell their time for less. They accept worse conditions. They say yes when they should say no, not because they want to, but because pressure removes choice. This is reaction mode. The 99% live here. The 1% live somewhere else. They live in preparation mode. They do not wait for pain to teach them. They prepare when life feels calm. They build skills before they are desperate. They create options before they need them. This is the real difference. Timing is invisible. That is why most people ignore it. You cannot see preparation. You only see results. You see success and think it was luck. You see failure and think it was weakness. But underneath, timing did the work. Crassus invested before anyone needed help. That is why he controlled the moment when fear arrived. Now ask yourself honestly, do you plan when life is calm or only when life becomes painful? Most people wait. Waiting feels safe. Waiting feels responsible. Until one day, waiting becomes dangerous. The rich do not panic. They position themselves. They understand one simple truth. Effort without timing leads to exhaustion. Timing without panic creates power. Remember this. The moment you feel pressure, you have already lost leverage. This truth is not here to discourage you. It is here to wake you up. You still have time, but only if you stop reacting and start preparing. Let me speak to you directly. Most people do not stay poor because they are lazy. They stay poor because they are trapped in patterns. These patterns begin early in life. From a young age, people are taught one main rule: be safe. Get a safe job. Follow the rules. Do not take risks. This advice sounds smart. It sounds responsible. But safety has a hidden cost. Safety kills curiosity. Safety kills long-term thinking. When your mind is trained only to survive, it cannot think about growth. This is exactly how chaos worked in the past, and it is how the system works today. The poor focus on today. The rich focus on position. The poor ask, how do I pay this bill? The rich ask, how do I avoid this situation again? This difference is not about intelligence. It is about mindset. Most people live under constant pressure. Pressure to earn, pressure to perform, pressure to please. Pressure makes people obedient, and obedient people are predictable. Predictable people are easy to control. Crassus understood this very early. He saw that people who are always busy have no time to think. They move fast, but they move in circles. The 99% confuse movement with progress. They run, they work harder, they stay busy, but they do not change direction. This is why effort alone never breaks poverty. Poverty is not only a lack of money. Poverty is a lack of control. Control over time, control over decisions, control over emotions. When fear controls your decisions, someone else benefits from your effort. This is the uncomfortable truth. Most people stay poor because the system trains them to react, not to think. They react to bills. They react to problems. They react to fear. And as long as you react, you stay exactly where you are. Thinking creates distance. Distance creates clarity. Clarity creates choice. But reaction removes all three. This is not about blaming you. It is about helping you see clearly. Once you see the pattern, you stop hating yourself. You stop thinking you are weak. You stop thinking you are failing. You realize something important. You were not designed to rise. You were trained to react. And training can be changed. This is where control begins. Money by itself is slow. You can save carefully. You can work every day. You can struggle for years and still move forward only a small distance. This is because money alone does not create momentum. Crassus understood something deeper. Money becomes powerful only when it is connected to power. Power opens doors that money alone cannot open. Power changes rules that effort alone cannot change. Power creates leverage. Leverage means small actions producing large results. Crassus did not stop after buying land and buildings. That was only the first layer. He moved closer to influence. He funded armies. He supported political leaders. He placed himself near decision makers. He did not shout. He did not beg. He positioned. This is how money grows faster. The 99% trade time for money. They sell hours, they sell energy, they sell attention. And when time is gone, the income stops. The 1% use money to buy position. Position means influence. Position means access. Position means protection. When you have position, you do not ask for permission. You decide. Crassus understood a hard truth. Money without influence is fragile. It can be taken, it can be taxed, it can be destroyed by one decision made by someone else. But money protected by power multiplies. This is not about corruption. This is about reality. Every system has gates, legal gates, economic gates, social gates, and power controls those gates. Most people never see this because they are taught to avoid power. They are told power is dirty, power is dangerous, power is immoral, so they stay far from it. But power itself is neutral. It is not good or bad. It depends on who holds it and how it is used. Crassus learned to stand near power, not under it. Because of this, his wealth did not stay flat. It expanded. And this lesson still applies today. If you only work harder, you stay replaceable. If you only follow rules, you stay dependent. But if you build rare skills, if you understand systems, if you increase influence, you gain leverage. And money follows leverage. Always. Not immediately, not magically, but inevitably. This is the difference between slow survival and accelerating growth. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Most people chase money. They believe money will save them. They believe money will make them feel safe. They believe money will finally make them happy. So they run. They work longer hours. They accept more pressure. They carry more stress. They trade their health for income. And still, something feels empty. Because money is not the goal. Money is a tool. A tool is meant to be used, not worshipped, not chased blindly. Crassus never loved money. He loved control. He understood something most people miss. Money can buy time. Money can buy position. Money can reduce risk. But money alone does nothing. In the wrong hands, money disappears. In the right hands, money multiplies. This is the real difference. The 99% ask, how much money do I need to feel safe? The 1% ask, what problem does this money solve? One question leads to anxiety. The other leads to clarity. When you chase money, you never arrive. There is always someone richer, someone faster, someone ahead of you. Comparison never ends. But when you treat money as a tool, your thinking changes. You stop spending to impress. You stop buying comfort to escape fear. You begin to spend with intention. You begin to invest with patience. You begin to move with purpose. Now ask yourself honestly, do you want money to escape stress, or do you want money to build freedom? Escape is emotional. Freedom is structured. Escape feels good today. Freedom protects you tomorrow. Crassus understood this deeply. He did not spend money to feel important. He did not chase luxury to prove his worth. He invested money to stay in control. Control over timing, control over risk, control over decisions. That is why his wealth lasted. It was not about how much he had, it was about how he used it. Remember this, money in your hands can either control you or serve you. Money that controls you creates fear. Money that serves you creates options, and options create freedom. The choice is not about income, it is about thinking. You may think this story is old. You may think it belongs to history. You may think it has nothing to do with your life today. But look around you. The world has changed. Human behavior has not. The fires today look different, but they burn in the same way. Debt, inflation, unstable jobs, rising costs, fear about the future. These are the modern fires. And just like in ancient Rome, when people lose control, they panic. They rush to survive. They sell their time for less. They accept work they hate. They stay silent when they should speak. They agree when they want to say no. Not because they are weak, but because fear becomes loud. Fear pushes people to choose safety over dignity, speed over clarity, comfort over control. This is exactly what happened in Rome. The system follows a pattern. First, a crisis appears. Then, fear spreads. Fear leads to emotional decisions. Emotional decisions create dependence, and dependence creates power for someone else. This pattern never disappeared. It only changed its shape. Today, most people live in reaction mode. They wait until the problem arrives. Then they rush to fix it. They work more hours. They carry more stress. They think less. This keeps them busy, but it does not move them forward. Being busy feels productive, but it often hides stagnation. A small group lives differently. They do not wait for pain to teach them. They learn early. They prepare quietly. They build skills when life feels calm. They think when others rush. They study systems. They understand that chaos is not random. It follows rules. It repeats patterns. And once you see the pattern, something important changes. You stop blaming yourself. You stop saying, I am weak, I am slow, I am not good enough. You realize something painful but freeing. You were not failing. You were playing a game you were never taught to understand. The game was never fair, but it is learnable, and learning changes everything. When you see the system, you stop reacting emotionally. You stop panicking under pressure. You stop selling yourself cheap. You begin to move with intention, with patience, with awareness. This is why this story matters today. Not because it is ancient, but because it is still happening. And now you can see it. Power today does not come only from land. It does not come only from money. It comes from language. The world is connected. Business is global. Information moves faster than ever, and one language sits at the center of all this: English. Most business deals are written in English. Most contracts are explained in English. Most research, systems, and opportunities are shared in English. If you do not understand the language, you only see the surface. You hear words, but you miss meaning. And when you miss meaning, you lose control. This creates dependence. You rely on translations. You rely on summaries. You rely on what other people tell you. You trust instead of verify. You follow instead of decide. This is not because you are incapable. This is not your fault. You were never taught to see English as power. You were taught to see it as a school subject, as grammar rules, as exams, as scores. But English is not grammar. English is access. Access to better work. Access to better ideas. Access to clearer information. Access to better decisions. When you understand English, you do not need someone to explain the world to you. You can read it yourself. You can listen directly. You can compare sources. You can think independently. This is power. The difference between the 99% and the 1% is not that one group is smarter. It is that one group has more access. The 99% learn English to pass tests. The 1% use English to expand control. That is why this channel exists. You are not here to memorize rules. You are not here to sound impressive. You are here to change position. Every story you listen to in English does more than improve your language. It trains your mind. You slow down. You focus. You learn to understand context. You learn to sit with uncertainty. You stop reacting quickly. You start thinking clearly. This is not just language practice. This is mental discipline. When your thinking becomes calmer, your decisions become stronger. And when your decisions improve, your position changes. Language builds clarity. Clarity builds power. And power, over time, builds freedom. That is why learning English is not a small thing. It is part of taking control of your future. Listen to me carefully. You are not broken. You were never broken. You were simply placed inside a system that benefits from confusion, fear and reaction. Now you see it. You see that wealth is not luck. You see that power is not magic. You see that control begins in the mind. And once the mind changes, everything else follows. This story was never only about the first billionaire. It was about awareness. Awareness of timing, awareness of systems, awareness of yourself. Today, you took a step forward, not by working harder, but by seeing clearer. If you felt something while listening, if this story stayed with you, then this is your signal. Do not walk this path alone. Subscribe, not for entertainment, not for noise. Subscribe to join a community of people rebuilding their minds, their confidence, and their future, one story at a time, one lesson at a time. This is not the end. This is your beginning.